4 years. So Trump kept saying, "Well, I inherited the by inflation," but they didn't use the word inflation. They used the word prices, and they didn't care what the annual inflation rate was. They just knew that the prices had soared, and they wanted them to go down. And if you talk to some people and you'd say, "Well, what do you want?" "We want the prices." "So you want zero inflation?" "No, I don't want zero inflation. I want minus inflation, so it goes back down where it was." And that was kind of unrealistic to achieve. So he got stung there, and then the war, and we'll talk about the war maybe, but he's at a crossroads right now because he's starting to bleed. Today in the Wall Street Journal, Mark Penn wrote a nice op-ed. Seth Cropsey wrote an op-ed. Well, he's getting a lot of people, independents, conservative Democrats, conservative MAGA, who say the pathway for you to get your economy rolling and the pathway to get back to popularity is not to pull out or negotiate with these people. They are never going to dismantle their nuclear reactor enriched uranium. They're never going to give it to you or a third party. They're never going to willingly open up that strait. It's just not going to happen. And they want 30 days. You've already negotiated more time than the actual war. That is going to lower, lower, lower. And it's going to lower it on the right because they want to finish the job and they don't want to be told as soon as we go home after the negotiations that they break the negotiations, that they're cheating, that Trump is a taco, the left goes jubilant. Robert Kagan, whom we know, I knew his father very well, a wonderful classicist Donald Kagan. He has a piece saying it's a complete defeat. I mean, he doesn't even talk about the attrition or the destruction of the Iranian military or the $500 they're bleeding a day. But my point is, he's at a crossroads. And I think Newt Gingrich is right. You've got to finish the war as quickly as possible. Take out dual-use targets. Take out the ability to offload and unload oil at Carg Island. Clean out, bomb the corridor opposite the strait so there's no dockage for PT boats. Forcibly open the strait, and then let the Israelis go after command and control. Let them go after the enrichment. That's their key issue anyway. They want to get rid of the enrichment. So let them go after it and get the command and control, and then take out dual-use bridges and take out, military industrial complex. I'm told they have better intelligence than they ever had, and they know exactly what they missed, and they've got more assets right now. But
Well,
so
is
that's
is
what,
does
and that will lower what I'm getting at. If you do that, then all good things follow. You lower the price of gas, you take a hit at the first, but the price of gas will collapse because of all the speculation that it was going to go to 200 and all the oil coming on the market and no war. And then when that goes down, psychologically, people are going to feel good about the economy and prices will start to go down. And you will get credit and people will say, he took out Maduro, he neutered the Iranians and the Cubans are in trouble. And we've only lost 13 soldiers doing this, and he will get recognition. But if you wait and let this narrative get entrenched and solidified that he's a taco or he can't, that's bad. So I don't know who's advising him. I think a lot of the MAGA people are saying this is a terrible thing. We got to stop. We got to just, and that's not the way out of it. The way out of it is to cut the Gordian knot, not to try to untie it. Cut the Gordian knot. Just say, this is so complex. Just cut it. And that means get rid of their ability to make war in 4 or 5 days and then just say, we're going to go home once the strait is opened.
speaking of psychology, do you think the reason this is prolonging, because a week ago, Victor, it seemed like um, any day. And right now, actually, it seems like any day. This is Saturday because Trump called off a trip to New Jersey's in the White House. So these kind of things make people think, well, he's at the White House because something kinetic is going to
Yes.
happen in the next stage. But nothing kinetic happened last week. I guess my long-winded question here is, do you think this is part of his propensity, the art of the deal? I'm the negotiator. We're in the midst of negotiating. He succeeds at negotiating.
Yeah,
Let's
I
do
think it is.
negotiating.
He did that in the summer. He said, we want negotiations, and right in the middle of me bombed them. So, Yeah, I do. I just hope, put it this way, he had all of these fundamentals that were starting to kick in the economy. They're still there. Tax cuts, deregulation, massive foreign investment, energy booming. Just take them out in 4 or 5 days and don't negotiate with them. Just say, if you can get the enriched uranium and you can get an international group to help and you got a carrier group, maybe two, that can keep the thing open, then go home. And then concentrate on the economy, on the economy, on the economy, on the economy. And then you won't have this problem with Republican senators. They won't be apostates because you'll be increasingly popular. You remove two toxic enemies of the United States at little cost. Cuba's about ready to fall. There's a lot of good things there. And you won't have people mumbling, he took out two of our friends in the Senate who were in the party. They're going to say, you know what, you better stay with Trump because he's doing great things and the people like him. And
Yeah,
that's what you have to concentrate on. They need.
I
Newt Gingrich had a good article. You sent it to me about kind of a contract for America. What are you going to do in the next 2 years? Get gas
yeah,
prices down. The RFK, he's an unpopular figure, but his agenda is popular with independents. You can emphasize that and really emphasize the fraud and what the Democrats are doing. It gets a pass. They kept
well,
saying Trump tried to distract from the Epstein file. There is no Epstein files. What he distracted from was the fraud, the Democratic, inadvertently, but this record historic fraud by Democratic people. It's up to probably a $500 billion nationwide.
You notice something strange. Every few days, every few weeks, we hear the same headline. Progress with Iran, negotiations moving forward, a breakthrough might be close. And yet the threats keep coming and the world keeps holding its breath. And at some point, we have to stop confusing delay with peace. Right now, the latest reports coming out of the Middle East show that negotiations between the United States and Iran are once again being floated as constructive. There are talks about reopening shipping lanes and easing tensions and possibly restoring stability in the Strait of Hormuz. And immediately, what happens? Oil prices drop sharply when these types of reports come out. Markets jumped, investors celebrated. Why? Because the entire world understands one simple truth. When Iran cannot threaten the flow of oil, energy prices fall. And when energy prices fall, the cost of almost everything falls along with it. Gas and food and shipping, manufacturing, air travel. Energy is the bloodstream of the economy. But there's a deeper issue that nobody says clearly. The negotiations themselves appear fundamentally broken. Why? Because the Iranian regime keeps demanding the benefits of peace while refusing to surrender the tools of war. Recent proposals reportedly still leave room for leverage over the Strait of Hormuz and delay the hardest questions about missiles and terror proxies and long-term nuclear capability to down the road. In other words, stop hitting us now and maybe we'll discuss the real problem later. But history teaches us something important. A regime that survives by exporting fear doesn't suddenly become moderate because diplomats use softer language. And this is the tragedy of endless negotiations. Sometimes diplomacy stops wars, and sometimes diplomacy becomes the thing from preventing wars from actually ending. The world has now watched years of talks and agreements and pauses and violations and sanctions and proxy attacks and missile launches and threats. At some point, reality matters. If the military infrastructure that fuels terror remains intact, then the cycle simply resets. And here's the part that many Americans instinctively
Watch what's happening here. Why is the referee pulling this fighter closer? One fighter offers his hand, the universal sign of respect, but this guy refuses to shake it. Like in his mind, his opponent does not even deserve that much respect. That tiny moment tells you exactly what kind of fight this is about to become. The bell rang, and the crowd feels it instantly. The cheers start turning into boos, but he does not care. He raises his hands and moves around like this is a performance, not a fight. That is the danger with fighters like this. They start believing the show is the weapon. The loud one comes forward, throwing big theatrical punches, hands low, chin open, dancing, teasing, trying to make his opponent look foolish before actually earning anything. And across from him, Eduardo barely gives him a reaction. No panic, no anger, no wasted movement. Every insult just disappears into the silence. He is not chasing the show. He is reading it. The first minutes are pure chaos. The performer keeps swinging like he is making a highlight reel in his head. Big motions, wild rhythm, punches meant to embarrass more than damage. But slowly, Eduardo starts finding the truth underneath the act. A short hook touches the jaw. A low kick breaks his balance. Another clean counter makes the smile look a little less comfortable. Now the man who came in playing Predator starts moving like he has finally noticed the cage has teeth. He changes levels and shoots for a takedown, desperate to grab control back. But Eduardo sprawls, wraps the neck, and locks in a guillotine. Suddenly the performance is gone. His face turns red, his hands start shaking. The crowd rises because the loudest man in the cage is now fighting just to breathe. Then the bell saves him. But it does not save the illusion. The next round feels different immediately. Eduardo comes forward now. He cuts off the space, forces him backward, picks his shots. The crowd senses the shift before the finish even arrives. The man who came to put on a show is now trapped inside someone else's timing. A brutal right hand snaps his head back. Eduardo does not rush. He just keeps walking him down, jab after jab, pressure after pressure. Then a left hook sends him crashing to the mat. Panicking, the showman reaches for anything, even a desperate heel hook, trying to steal control from the floor. But Eduardo slips out like he saw it coming. Then the punishment arrives. Brutal punches rain down. Every shot sounds heavier than the last. The crowd is no longer watching a performance. They are watching the moment the mask gets beaten off. The referee finally jumps in. Eduardo stands over him, silent. The same man who turned his back before the fight
descends on me. I stay unmoved to change the view of where it leads. I've been staring at a road. 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 I feel the weight of what I need come crash full force into me. I see the stars that light the sky and wonder where I fit in a life. Into love. I've been staring at a road. 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 I feel weak behind the night. Cries I hear echo inside. Even as the sunrise ascends on me, I stay unmoved to change the view of where